Ever notice how some people walk into a room and instantly everyone leans in? They're not louder, they're not prettier, they're not performing magic tricks, yet somehow, within minutes, they've got the whole place charmed. Meanwhile, you're standing there wondering if anyone even noticed you showed up. The difference isn't luck, it's not genetics. It's a handful of psychological triggers that Dale Carnegie figured out almost a century ago, and most people still completely ignore. Here's what actually works. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. You think you're interesting? You're not. Neither am I. Neither is anyone, really. We're all walking around convinced our stories matter more. Our opinions cut deeper. Our experiences hit different. They don't. But here's the twist that changes everything. The second you stop trying to be interesting and start being interested, you become the most magnetic person in the room. Sounds backwards, right? It's not. Carnegie nailed this in 1936. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years, trying to get people interested in you. Translation? Shut up about yourself. Ask questions instead. Real ones. Not the autopilot garbage like, so what do you do? That's lazy. That's filler. That's what everyone asks because they're waiting for their turn to talk about themselves. Try this instead. When someone mentions they just got back from a trip, don't nod and immediately launch into your vacation story. Pause. Lean forward slightly. Ask what surprised them most about the place. Watch what happens. Their eyes light up. Their posture shifts. They stop performing and start connecting because you just did something rare. You made them feel seen. People don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. And nothing makes someone feel better than genuine curiosity about their world. It's the social equivalent of handing someone a microphone and saying, "You're on." Everyone wants that. Almost nobody gets it. Now let's talk about names because you're probably screwing this up too. Forgetting someone's name isn't a quirky personality trait. It's not because you're bad with names. It's because you weren't paying attention. You were too busy thinking about what you'd say next or scanning the room or wondering if you have spinach in your teeth. Carnegie was ruthless about this. A person's name is to that person the sweetest sound in any language. Use it. Early. Often. But not like a used car salesman. When someone introduces themselves, repeat it immediately. Jessica, great to meet you. 30 seconds later, work it in naturally. So Jessica, how do you know the host? Do it again before the conversation ends. Really enjoyed talking, Jessica. You're not being weird. You're being intentional. And here's the bonus. Repetition drills it into your memory. You'll actually remember it next time, which makes you one of maybe 3 people at that party who does. But there's a level beyond this. The masters don't just remember names, they remember details. The person who recalls that you mentioned your daughter's soccer tournament last month, that person just vaulted into your inner circle without even trying, because everyone else forgot 30 seconds after you said it. They were waiting to talk about their kid's baseball season. Here's where it gets tactical. Smile first. Not the customer service smile. Not the "I'm uncomfortable, so here's my face doing a thing" smile. A real one. The kind that reaches your eyes and makes crow's feet because you're genuinely glad to be in this moment with this person. Sounds simple. It is simple. It's also shockingly rare. Most people walk around with resting "I'd rather be literally anywhere else" face. Then they wonder why strangers don't warm up to them. Your face is a billboard. It's advertising how you feel before you say a single word. Smile like you mean it, and you've already won half the battle. People mirror energy. Show up cold, you get cold back. Show up warm, walls drop. And while we're on nonverbal stuff, let's address the eye contact situation. Too little, you seem shifty or disinterested. Too much, you're a serial killer. The sweet spot? Look at someone while they're talking like they're the only person in the building. Not because you're trying to intimidate them into submission, because you actually care what they're saying. When you talk, it's fine to glance away briefly. Natural rhythm. But when they talk, lock in. This does something primal. It signals respect. It signals presence. It says, "You matter enough for my full attention." In a world where everyone's half listening while mentally composing their next Instagram caption, full presence is a superpower. Now here's the move that separates amateurs from artists. Admit when you're wrong. Fast. Completely. Without the "but actually" that everyone tacks on to soften the blow to their ego. Carnegie watched this play out thousands of times. The person who says, you know what, I was totally wrong about that, doesn't lose respect. They gain it instantly. Why? Because it's disarming. You can't argue with someone who's already agreed with you. You can't stay mad at someone who's validating your point. And you definitely respect someone who cares more about truth than their own image. Most people would rather die than admit a mistake. So when you do it freely, you're not weak. You're confident enough to own your errors without your identity crumbling. But there's an art to it. Don't grovel. Don't over-apologize. Don't turn it into a therapy session about your childhood insecurities. Just state it clearly and move forward. I was wrong about that. You're right. Then redirect to solution or learning. Done. You just built more trust in 5 seconds than most people build in 5 months. Let's shift gears. You want people to like you? Let them talk. Specifically, let them talk about themselves. Not because you're manipulating them. Because humans are wired to feel good when they share their experiences, and you're giving them that gift. Carnegie found that even the most hostile people soften when you ask about their interests and actually listen. The trick is you can't fake this. People smell fake curiosity from a mile away. You need to find something, anything, genuinely interesting about them. Their job, their hobby, their weird obsession with vintage typewriters, whatever. Find the thread and pull it. Most people are fascinating once you dig past the surface level small talk wasteland. And here's what nobody tells you. The more you practice genuine interest, the easier it becomes. Your brain starts pattern matching. You get better at finding the interesting angles faster. You stop dreading conversations and start enjoying them because you've turned every interaction into a discovery mission instead of a performance anxiety marathon. Which brings us to the thing that might matter most. Criticism kills. Compliments don't just help, they transform. But most people do both wrong. They criticize constantly, usually disguised as just being honest. Then they compliment rarely, and when they do, it's generic garbage. Good job. Cool, thanks for nothing. Specific praise lands like a missile. The way you handled that question about budget constraints was brilliant. You didn't get defensive, you just calmly walked through the numbers. That person will remember that for weeks, maybe months. Because you noticed something specific they did well, which means you were actually paying attention. Contrast that with constant criticism. Even when you're right, even when it's constructive, it puts people on defense. Their walls go up, they stop hearing you and start protecting themselves. Carnegie watched this destroy relationships, careers, friendships. The solution? Find what they're doing right first. Build from there. Make people feel value before you try to make them better. And the wild part? When you lead with what's working, people become way more open to hearing what isn't. They trust you're on their side. They know you see them, not just their flaws. So where does this leave you? Standing at a fork. One path is what you've always done. Show up, wait your turn. Talk about yourself. Forget names. Stay surface level. Wonder why connection feels hard. The other path starts with one conversation. One person you decide to actually see. One name you commit to memory. One moment where you bite your tongue and ask a follow-up question instead of hijacking the spotlight. 5 years from now, you'll be in rooms you can't even imagine right now. Opportunities you didn't see coming. Conversations that change trajectories. And the only difference between stepping into those rooms or watching from the outside, the skill you built in 1,000 small moments just like this one. Carnegie wasn't selling magic. He was selling math. Every interaction is compound interest. Every name remembered. Every genuine question asked. Every moment you made someone feel seen instead of small. It all stacks. Not in some cosmic karma way. In a very practical, people remember how you made them feel, and they either open doors or close them kind of way. But most people never get there because they're stuck on the wrong question. They ask, how do I get people to like me? When they should be asking, how do I become someone worth knowing? The shift is subtle but devastating. One mindset is about extraction. The other is about transformation. Become genuinely interested in others and watch what happens. Not interested in what they can do for you. Not interested as a tactic. Interested because every person you meet knows something you don't. Has lived something you haven't. Sees angles you're missing. When you approach conversations like an explorer instead of a performer, everything changes. You stop worrying about what to say next because you're actually curious about what you're hearing now. And here's the part that sounds too simple to work but absolutely does. Smile. Not a fake customer service smile, a real one. The kind that reaches your eyes because you're actually happy to see someone or hear their story or just be present in that moment. Mirror neurons are wild. When you smile genuinely, their brain literally mirrors it back. Defensiveness drops, walls lower. Suddenly, you're not two strangers performing politeness, you're two humans actually connecting. But there's a darker side to this that Carnegie saw everywhere. People sabotage themselves by arguing, not debating, not discussing, arguing, trying to prove they're right and someone else is wrong. And every single time, even when they win the argument, they lose the relationship. Because nobody likes being made to feel stupid. Nobody enjoys being corrected in front of others. Nobody walks away from being proven wrong, thinking, wow, I really like that person now. You want to win an argument? Don't have it. Seriously, the fastest way to change someone's mind is to not make them defend their position in the first place. Ask questions instead. That's interesting. What made you think of it that way? Now they're exploring their own logic instead of defending against your attack. Half the time, they talk themselves into seeing the gap. And when they do, they think it was their idea, which means they own it, which means it sticks. This works in negotiations, in relationships, in parenting, in literally every domain where you need someone to shift their thinking. But it requires you to care more about the outcome than your ego. Most people would rather be right than effective. They'd rather win the argument and lose the relationship. Then they wonder why they're isolated, why opportunities dry up, why nobody calls them first when something important happens. Let's talk about complaints. Everyone has them. Coworker messed up, friend flaked, partner forgot something important. Your move right here determines everything. You can criticize directly and watch them shut down, get defensive, stop listening. Or you can do what actually works. Start with something real they did well. Not fake praise, real recognition. Then ease into what needs to change. You handled the client call brilliantly. They loved your energy. I think if we tighten up the follow-up timeline, we'll close even faster. Same feedback. Completely different reception. Why does this work? Because criticism, even constructive criticism, triggers threat response in the brain. Walls up. Logic out. Emotion in. But if you lead with genuine appreciation, you signal safety first. Now their brain stays open. Now they can actually hear you. Now change becomes possible instead of just painful. Carnegie watched titans of industry destroy their teams with constant criticism. Then he watched others build empires by making people feel capable first, then coaching them higher. Same information, opposite results, all because of sequencing and tone. And if you really want to influence people, give them ownership. Don't tell them what to do. Ask what they think should happen. What's your take on the best way forward here? Aqua, now they're invested. It's their plan, their idea, their win when it works. You just guided the question. They built the answer. And people defend their own ideas way harder than they defend yours. This is how you lead without authority, how you influence without position, how you build movements instead of just completing tasks. You make people feel ownership over the outcome. Suddenly you're not dragging them forward, they're pulling you along because they believe in where it's going. That's the difference between people who coast through life wondering why nothing sticks and people who build networks that carry them places they never imagined. It's not about being fake. It's not about manipulation. It's about genuinely caring enough to make others feel valued and watching that investment compound over years into a life that looks completely different from where you started. You're not going to master this tomorrow. You'll forget names. You'll catch yourself talking too much about yourself. You'll slip back into arguing when you should be asking questions. That's fine. This isn't about perfection. It's about direction. Every conversation where you choose curiosity over performance, you're moving the right way. Every time you remember someone's name when they expected you to forget, you're building something real. Carnegie spent decades studying the most successful, most beloved, most influential people of his time. The pattern was always the same. They weren't the smartest. They weren't the most talented. They were the ones who made others feel important, feel heard, feel valued. And those people opened every door that mattered. So, next time you're in a room full of strangers or sitting across from someone at coffee or navigating a tense conversation at work, you've got a choice. Play it the old way and hope for the best, or deploy what actually works. Remember their name. Ask real questions. Let them talk. Find what they're doing right. Smile like you mean it. Admit when you're wrong. Watch what happens when you stop trying to be interesting and start being genuinely interested instead. 5 years is coming either way. The only question is whether you'll spend it building bridges or wondering why you're still stuck on the island.